Ah, this is great. The days are long, the weather's fine, and it's the Midsummer Fire Festival.
Yeah, life is pretty sweet right now, and I'm totally going to get my Flame Warden title this year too.
Oh yeah? That's great. How many achievements have you got left?
Let's have a look. The Burning Hot Pole Dance, Torch Juggler, sounds dangerous, King of the Fire Festival, and Fires of Azeroth.
So, pretty much all of them then.
Yeah, but it won't take me long though, because I've asked a few good buddies of mine to come down here and help me out.
Oh, awesome. WoW is always better with friends. Who'd you invite?
Oh, well, here they come now. Khadgar, Malfurion, and Sylvanas.
Oh, that's great. You'll have those achievements done in no time. Wait, you didn't. Taliesin. Wait, who did you invite?
What? My good buddies. Khadgar, Malfurion, and Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, sorry.
How many times do I have to tell you, we've got to be really careful about where we invite Sylvanas these days. She's just too morally grey for most parties.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Oh, awesome! I mean, gosh, how sad. And that poor tree, how very, very sad.
Knowledge is power.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdomshow. And it's a special episode today, Internet, because as well as all of the latest news, updates and goings on in game, and in beta, and in the PTR, yes, we are bringing you the good stuff on 3 fronts today. We will also be presenting to you our official T&E guide to the Battle for Azeroth 8.0 pre-patch. A pre-patch that will include the Burning of Teldrassil scenario, the storyline which will eventually end with an X-World tree, and which we got another glimpse of on the PTR this week. And I say glimpse because with this scenario, Blizzard are being quite the tease, gradually and tantalisingly revealing just a little bit more at a time, like a Victorian floozy flashing some ankle. Last time it was the Alliance scenario, part 1 of the Alliance scenario, and this week we've been able to get our hands on the Horde side. And I'm obviously going to talk about this for a couple of minutes now, so if you don't want to know anything about it, then skip forward till you see me do this. Okay? That's the sign. But to be honest, there's no real story spoilers anyway, which is one of the weird things about both of these scenarios so far, but we'll get to that. Our Horde adventure starts with Sylvanas straight up giving you her motivation for capturing the World Tree, which is great. Finally, we get to see her side of the story and bathe in some of that narrative nuance that we've been hearing all about. Because it turns out that she just wants to occupy the capital and murder a leader of a whole people the Horde weren't officially at war with, because if she doesn't, then she's afraid they'll get some stuff that the Horde already has loads of, and I'll be honest, it's not a really great start on our morally grey meter, you know? But let's not be too hasty to judge, there's plenty of mission left. So our first proper part in this attack is to sneak around Ashenvale with a Blood Elf assassin, and here we don't kill anyone. We just tell him who to kill and he does it. So, you know, totally keeping my hands clean on this one. Unless, of course, you tell him to kill perfectly innocent civilians, in which case your hands aren't quite so clean. And if you tell him to kill the guy sleeping peacefully in his bed, which I did, purely for testing purposes, you understand, then your assassin buddy actually tells you off. I mean, he still kills the guy, obviously, but he's not happy about it, so that's something, right? Then we meet Sylvanas at the Wisp Wall, which is protecting the zone that we want to illegally occupy. So we jump into a bombardier to kill us some wisps, which takes absolutely ages. And by the way, the wisps protecting Teldrassil die with 1 hit from our goblin death rockets, but the wildlife in Twilight Vale is terrifyingly badass, because when I tried to kill a stag with this thing, which I did purely for testing purposes, you understand, I discovered they are literally indestructible. Malfurion, mate, forget the wisps, build your wall with white-tailed stags, the Horde will never get anywhere near it, and your empire will last 1,000,000 years. Luckily for the Horde though, Malfi apparently has no idea about the 4-legged super soldiers right under his nose, and with the wall weakened, we squeeze through and start to cause some mischief. We mine us some Azerite, we plant us some flags, we break the Night Elf front line, and this, by the way, just like with the Alliance scenario, is easily the best bit, because it's the only part that really feels like an important battle is going on. And unfortunately, it doesn't last nearly long enough, because just as we're getting into it, Sylvanas tells us this thing is a stalemate, and I'm like, what? Did you not see me kicking ass with my Azerite gyrocopter just then? But no, apparently it is a stalemate, and that's it. That's the end of part 1. So again, there's no real resolution here, no proper reveal. This is all just to establish the Horde as having a foothold in the zone, to open up those world quests which will form the bulk of the War of Thorns event, which is a big part of the Battle for Azeroth pre-patch content. To know how this story is going to end and how this happens, well, we're just going to have to wait just a little bit longer for Blizzard to inch that skirt up a little bit higher. Not too high though, obviously, no need to be lewd. Which leads us to the pre-patch itself. With so many things being drip-fed onto the beta and the PTR right now, we thought it'd be useful to give you a proper roundup of all of the things you can expect when it hits, just in case we're busy getting married or something when it does. So, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you who are just joining us again, welcome to our Battle for Azeroth 8.0 pre-patch guide, giving you the heads up on all the good stuff you can expect in the lead up to the new expansion.
The story leading up to the Battle for Azeroth will see players taking part in two pretty major battles, which will have permanent consequences for the old world. The first is the War of Thorns, which sees the Horde launch an attack on the Night Elf capital of Teldrassil. At the start of proceedings, Alliance and Horde characters will play through a questline which sees Sylvanas' forces secure a foothold in Darkshore, and in doing so will unlock the War of Thorns, a limited time event with replayable world quests in the area for the duration. Later on, we'll get the conclusion of the story as the battle really starts heating up, with the Burning of Teldrassil scenario, where players will fight for the Night Elf home itself and experience the events that led to the destruction of the World Tree and the end of an era for the Night Elf presence on Kalimdor. At the other side of Azeroth, the Alliance will get their chance to rectify this clear and disgusting Horde bias in Battle for Undercity, a scenario which recreates the Battle for Azeroth cinematic trailer as Anduin's forces storm the ruins of Lordaeron and attempt to bring Sylvanas to heel. What nose will Anduin be sporting for the occasion? Will he cry? You'll just have to wait and see. But we do know that there will be some cool cinematics, and that completing these scenarios will reward players from each faction a new mount. Smoldering Reigns of the Teldrassil Hippogriff for Alliance, and the war-torn Reigns of the Undercity Plague Bat for Horde. With the pre-patch comes the new Battle for Azeroth opt-in world PvP system, War Mode. This basically does away with the idea of PvP or PvE specific servers and gives every player a choice when it comes to fighting actual real-life players. In your faction capital, you can toggle War Mode on or off, keep it off to be sharded with like-minded pacifists, and never have to worry about being ganked in the open world, allowing you to quest, fish, and farm beautiful herbs to your heart's content. Switch that bad boy on though, and you'll find yourself sharing the world exclusively with other players for whom world PvP is always on the table, and be rewarded for your daring with 4 extra PvP talents and increased rewards from quests. As you're being sharded with players from all over, faction numbers on either side should be fairly even, and killing enough opposing players in a zone can result in a bounty being placed on your head, where other players will be able to track you on the map and kill you for a reward. I mean, just slaying the Horde scum, or Alliance scum, I've got alts, and bringing glory to my banner is reward enough, obviously, but other rewards are always welcome too.
Oh yes, our favourite part of any pre-patch, the class changes. Now, of course, we'll soon be bringing you our usual class guide videos to really pick those updates apart. And although Battle for Azeroth isn't seeing the kind of major reworks, and in some cases completely new specs that Legion introduced, every class is going to have at least something new to get their heads around as they head into the next expansion. And there's no finer time than pre-patch to really get a handle on your new abilities. Or, perhaps lack of old abilities. You may find you have a couple of extra global cooldowns to contend with. You might well notice the addition of some party buffs that you'll need a new weak aura for when you keep forgetting to use it. And of course, you'll have the extra joy of all of your abilities doing a tiny fraction of the amount of damage that you're used to, because in 8.0, stats are getting squished, and they are getting squished good. These smaller numbers only give the illusion of depowering you, of course, but there's another change on the way that really does have an impact.
I'm sorry, guys, and Shadow Priests, I really am truly very sorry, but it's time to say goodbye to your artifact weapons come pre-patch. An incredible act of bravery and courage will see the weapon that you spent the whole of Legion leveling up and customizing drained of its power. Every single last point of artifact power you ran endless maw of souls to farm, artifact power you completed endless world quests to gain, will be stripped away and lost forever. And with it, all those juicy artifact traits that you unlocked along the way. But it doesn't have to be goodbye forever for your Naifu, as going forward you'll still be able to transmog any weapon you like into any of the artifact appearances you've collected throughout Legion. And with the exception of the Mage Tower skins, you'll still be able to collect those artifact appearances from Legion content during Battle for Azeroth. You'll even get a pretty snazzy extension to the transmog UI to help you make your choice, which is pretty cool. Don't worry, Shadow Priests, she's not going anywhere.
8.0 will see the rollout of new community features for World of Warcraft, allowing you to create and maintain chat and voice channels for groups, guilds, and Battle.net friends. Best case scenario, this will work as an integrated Discord utility with the option to jump quickly and easily into voice comms for any group that you join, which has potential to revolutionize pug raiding, Mythic Plus, and Battlegrounds. At its worst, it's going to be a bunch of 12-year-olds shouting racism and, I don't know, dabbing or whatever, I guess. And it goes without saying that if we ever work out how to use these new community options properly, and I'm not going to lie to you, Internet, there's no actual guarantee we ever will, but if we do, then it's quite possible, you know, that we'll set up our very own T&E community where people like you can hang out. If you want. I mean, you don't have to, but you can. You don't have to. Might be fun though.
Hey, do you like straight backs? Do you like golden eyes? Do you like changing your skin color on a whim? Well, this pre-patch is the pre-patch for you. Your local barber has learned some really quite impressive new skills, which will see the implementation of the long-awaited, I mean like 14 years long-awaited, new upright posture for male orcs. This seems like a little thing, but it's a dream come true for many. And just think, it's not long before Mag'har orcs become playable, and then we can all really live out our Garrosh fantasies for reals. Also, the new personal loot rules will come into play for 8.0 too. Personal loot is now the only game in town, guys, for better or for worse. The loot council is dead, and personal loot is where it's at. Rest assured, we will soon bring out your video guide to making quick and easy macros to reply to whispers saying, "You need that, bro?" with a polite, "Sorry, it's an upgrade." And we think that's about it. There's of course that rather cryptic line from Taryn Gregory at his E3 panel.
There's more content that will be coming out soon that will ramp up to the launch. Some of it we have not talked about yet, but it's really exciting. There's some surprises waiting for you.
What surprises would those be, Taryn?
Between now and launch day.
Good surprises.
Some stuff that we've never tried before, so it's really, really exciting.
Which could hint at one last big surprise in the story to come in this pre-patch. What are you planning, Gregory? Another big reveal this week was the new Battle for Azeroth login screen that is now gracing the beta and PTR to go along with the overture we got last week. I really love a new login screen reveal. Like, it's seriously one of the most exciting parts of the lead into a new expansion for me, because this is it. It's really happening. A screen where you enter your email and password. Shouldn't be this big a deal, but it really is though, isn't it? And the Battle for Azeroth login screen is especially satisfying because there's actually quite a lot to analyze here, if we are so inclined. And just so you know, we are so inclined. Because yes, it follows the usual theme of depicting a portal or a gateway, in this case the gates of Lordaeron, for reasons that I think should be pretty obvious by now. Even by itself, this is a really cool image, with its ash-filled air, smoky battlefield, and discarded Horde and Alliance weapons. But what's really lovely about it is that it's also a cute little homage to Warcraft 3. Most people can see the similarities straight away, especially if you played a lot of that game, but I appreciate everyone looks at things differently, and it might be that for you, these two screens bear no resemblance to each other at all. But this is why I like it so much. It's because it's being a little more clever than a straight copy. It's all about the composition. So, the new BFA screen shares a number of visual elements with the Warcraft 3 version. A tattered Horde flag, a Horde axe, the same sword hilts, a wooden shield with arrows embedded into it, and even an angled tower in the background. And here's how you know for certain that it's not accidental. Not only are these elements in both images, they appear in exactly the same order in each image. I mean, to be honest, the flag and the shield was enough for most people to recognize it instantly, but listen, I've got a degree in art history, and I love stuff like this. So thank you, Blizz, for giving me a login screen that allowed me to use colored circles to analyze its composition. It made me feel really good.
There are a couple of other small changes on the beta this week, including yet another visual update to Uther's tomb, which suggests something significant will be happening around there at some point in Battle for Azeroth. And you know me, Internet. You know I'm not one for wild speculation, but if I were, I might theorize that if I don't know, there was a recent storyline somewhere with the light raising someone into a weird kind of light-bound undeath, and I was thinking maybe this could be a thing we see more of perhaps, and I was trying to think of perhaps other potential candidates to be raised by the light, then I might theorise that Uther would be a pretty good candidate for such a thing, but as you know, I hate speculation, so I'll have to let someone else think about that. And lastly this week, loot. And as you will know, the new personal loot rules come into force with a vengeance in the upcoming pre-patch. And we learned this week that in Battle for Azeroth, there is going to be another change to the way your gear drops in the form of bonus rolls. Seals of Wartorn Fate are your reroll currency in BFA, the coins that you can use for another shot at gear in raids, dungeons, and new in the next expansion, Mythic Plus. You can buy your seals from a vendor each week using gold, war resources, or marks of honor, exactly like in Legion. What's different though is how many of those reroll tokens you can have. On the beta at the moment, the maximum amount of seals that you can buy every week has been reduced from 3 down to 2. And the maximum amount that you can carry at one time has gone from 6 to 5. This is a change which means essentially you're going to get less loot. How do you feel about that? Well, I can tell you right now how the forums feel about it. They think it's a pretty great change. Pretty much everyone agreed that if there was one thing Legion had too much of, it was loot. Too much great loot dropping from all manner of sources, and here was a change they could all get behind. A change that brought the challenge back into the gearing process. After all, seals didn't exist at all in Wrath of the Lich King, and everyone loves Wrath, so this is just another great nostalgic nod to, no, it was a shit show, obviously. What the fuck? Golly gee willikers, I do love all these things being taken away from me. Each day that we learn more and more about the changes in BFA, I kick myself harder for pre-ordering. Dumpster fire that's about to become a dumpster tornado. They totally went pants on head stupid out of nowhere for no reason. There is no logic in this. There is no acceptable excuse for this. I think it might be worth pointing out here that this is a change that we've noticed on the beta, but we don't know anything else about it, and so far Blizzard haven't said anything about it. For all we know, it could be a mistake, unlikely, granted. For all we know, they could have reduced the number of seals just for the first raid with the intention of increasing it for the second, which would actually make quite a lot of sense. There are considerably fewer bosses in the first raid of expansion, so you don't need as many reroll tokens. For all we know, there could be a new way to get that third seal every week, like through island expeditions or war fronts, or this could in fact be the new normal going forward for the rest of the expansion, in which case I never got anything good from rerolls anyway, so I guess that's just 100 less artifact power I'll be getting every week. That's a little bit facetious, I admit. And of course I understand that nagging feeling that some people have that this is just another way to subtly and artificially extend the amount of time it takes you to farm the gear you want for those juicy time played metrics. Either way, I'm looking forward to the next developer Q&A and what Ian has to say about this, because if there's one thing I've learned in all my years playing this game, it's that you don't mess with people's loot, and you certainly don't make them think that they'll be getting less. So a couple of things in the talky bit at the end here. No time for witticisms and banter between us, because we need to make a couple of announcements regarding the weekly reset. This will be our last weekly reset for 2 weeks, probably, I'd imagine, because we've got a little old thing coming up that we're going to be quite busy with, our wedding. So next weekend I'm going on my stag do on a trip and mission.
I've already gone on mine, so I had 2.
Yeah, so it's only fair I get 1 eventually.
Exactly.
And then the weekend after that, we are tying the knots.
Yeah, we are.
Getting the mazard.
The what?
The mazard. I don't know, married, mazza, it just seemed right to me.
Okay.
Is that not what you're calling it?
No.
I'm calling it mazard. Oh no. Does that matter that we have very different views on what this is going to involve?
Have you been telling people we're getting mazered?
Yeah, everyone's
Sounds
very...
like we're getting like laser hair removal together or something.
You know,
getting mazered this
that probably
weekend.
probably wouldn't be a bad idea. It will not be our last video for 2 weeks, because during the week we'll be working on our class guides and bringing those out throughout, because I think it's about time for that now.
It is high time for class.
As far as the weekly reset goes, it'll be the last one for a couple of weeks, so sorry about that, but I'm sure you understand. And to tide you over until then, we have a really special giveaway.
We do. Let me tell you all about it.
Yeah, that's a very nice t-shirt you're wearing.
Thank you. This lovely Sylvanas in shade of morally grey.
This is one of the new range of Blizzard Uniglow t-shirts.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They did a collaboration, and what's even cooler is that they sent us a couple of them.
They did. They sent us 4, and here they are. We're not going to unwrap them, but I'll show some pictures of them on the screen.
Yeah.
All of these t-shirts are in large.
Okay,
so bear that in mind, and there's 4 to choose from. There's an Alliance one that says King's Honour on it.
There's a Horde one, which says Blood and Thunder.
That's pretty cool.
There's an Illidan one, all sketchy and cool, a bit
bro.
like this Sylvanas one, but with green on it.
Yeah.
And there is, of course, the Sylvanas one,
Yeah.
which you are wearing.
Okay, here are the rules. First, watch this video, like this video, and then go to the comment section for the Alliance if you want the Alliance t-shirt, for the Horde if you want the Horde t-shirt, if you want Illidan, say for Illidan, and if you'd like Sylvanas, put for Sylvanas.
Wow, that was a really simple competition with really simple rules that was really easy to explain and didn't take us like 6 takes at all. That's fantastic, that's amazing. And how long have I got to, bearing in mind there won't be a weekly reset for a couple of weeks, how long have I got to enter this competition in the comments?
You have until midnight on July 8th. 8th of July, London time, midnight.
And you too can be wearing one of these beautiful t-shirts. They're really good actually. That was really cool.
This one's my fave.
Thank you very much.
I was wearing this around getting groceries yesterday and people were like,
wow, she looks morally grey.
Yeah.
What they saying? Good luck in the competition, guys. And thank you for joining us for this special episode of the Weekly Reset. If you enjoyed it, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make these videos happen. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is One Legion TV. No, my name is Taliesin. From me
and me, Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.